Well, hello everyone. So I got a surprise for you. I'm finally getting my first major update for the RV, even though there's still a lot I need to do. Big update. So let me show you here with these older ones. So I worked my way through everything here and turn on the light so I could see. All right, so with these older ones, older RVs, you have these range hoods with your gauges on it. So when you hit your batteries, you can just see a light up there. Thing is, they never say full, always 3/4. I got the main battery unplugged at the moment. But yeah, the house battery is saying, good, 3/4 full. But that's it. That's all I know. I don't know but that is it. I don't know what is, but that is it. I don't know what the voltage is or anything like that. So if we come over here and look at my lovely mess, I got this. It's a Victron Smart Shunt. So this one is actually for outdoor. So the wires are pre-connected on it, and you can look in there that it's all filled with like a silicone substance to keep it watertight. And then the same price as if you get the one for indoors that you don't have to use all the wires, they just snap in. But I went with the outdoor one with my batteries being at the front of the RV. That is where I'm going to mount this. So everyone knows Victron is not cheap, but it rates up their top brand for getting solar and all that hooked up into your RV. But the nice thing is you don't see too often. Everyone just goes all in with the Victron, and not everyone can afford that. So you can start with something like this and just slowly improve as you go along. So that's what I'm doing. I'm starting off with the battery monitor. It is Bluetooth, so I'll be able to connect to my phone and see what my voltage is, what the charging rate while the alternator or the generator is running, while plugged in, whatever. The nice thing is the way this is set up is I could also read the not just the house batteries, but the chassis battery, and it has the cord on there so that if down the road when I want, I could actually have a display inside if I wanted, and it's just building off from there. I could start with the Smart Shunt, get the display, get a better battery charger, get the inverter converter, all that whole setup, solar on the roof, just slowly process. This way it's not a big massive drain on your pocket all at once. You can just piece at a time. All right, so it's a little windy out, but let me show you what the first part I got to do here. So coming back up front here, traffic's a little loud. All right, so one of the things I need to start on first is I want to get this rail cleaned up. You can see there's quite a bit of rust on there. I want to get this all cleaned up, repainted, looking nice. You can see down here are my batteries. So the idea is take all the cords and run them to an area here, probably tie them in with the rest of these wires so they're not flapping around or anything, but to where they're still staying connected, and run it up to that Smart Shunt, because the battery has to be separate from all these wires leading up to the rest of the RV. That way it gets a proper reading on the battery, not reading and giving me a false reading or anything. So let's get started. Let's remove that grate and I'll start cleaning up this bar. some of the stuff came pretty clean, like the front of that. Come on, focus. Wire brush did a good job of stripping all that loose stuff off. And if you look, so that is where the piece is for this rod to snap into place so it's not rattling around. But if you look, if it will focus, it's a little rusted underneath, so the idea is to get this all cleaned up, looking good again. Alright, so I had to end up taking this off, and we could see underneath a lot better. See, most of the bottom here is gone on main support going in there. The rest of it doesn't look too terribly bad. Bit of pitting in a hole there. The rest of it looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do here is spray some eternal frame coating on the inside there, help protect it from more rusting and everything. And then we'll work on trying to get it patched. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So first, let me set up for this. Alright, so new day. Ended up raining, so luckily it quit raining this morning. You can see it will focus. It's all sprayed on the inside in there. Nice and coated. So what I'm going to do, it's a two-parter to strengthen this up. I prefer the blue can for the size this is. It doesn't expand as much as the red can, but the spray foam, it is closed cell, so it's not going to attract water or anything. So it's just spraying that in here and watching her foam out. So the spray foam is dry, and I've shaved off all the excess already and made a little bit of an indent because I want to infill that area pretty good. I want to be sure not to cover my screw holes for the grill, but the main thing is strengthening up this part and this brace here. And while I'm at it, I'm going to fill up just a few of these rust holes along here. But what I'm going to use here is the JB weld. So this is just pre-mixed stuff, pretty handy. So let's get to it. Okay, now that everything's dried and sanded, just the last things to do, and I can finally put this back together and upgrade this RV. But right now, primer. Alright, now that this is painted, looking so much better. I mean, yes, it still looks rough, but I'm not concerned about that. So she's solid again. Even that right there's pretty good. So the idea is to now, originally was to get this in. So let's get her put in. So a closer look here. So it's a Smart Shunt. It is waterproof one, so the cords are already attached. And inside here is filled with the silicone, so you don't have to worry about any of that getting wet. The other item in the box is the instructions here. You can see here there are multiple ways to install this. So the way I'm doing this is because you have the red wire that provides power to that, gray wire that's for an additional battery or for your temperature, and then your black wire, which would be essentially your monitor for inside if you had one. Don't have one yet, so I'll be tucking that away to the side. It is Bluetooth, and there is an error light on there, so that'll be easy to keep track with that. So if you look here, I have two 6 volts, so I can go this route. Power coming in, power going up to the Smart Shunt, batteries tied together, and coming down, and that will tell me individual charge volt for each 6 volt. I don't want to do that. It is, that is the only option there for the two 6 volt, but this is the other option here essentially. So these would be your two 6 volts tied together properly to make a 12 volt. So you'd have one, your positive coming off of one side, your negative coming up off of the other battery to keep it a 12 volt. And both the gray and the red wire comes down, and not only does it provide power to the thing, but it gives you a temperature setting for your batteries. Not doing that either. This will be eventually done when I get more Victron stuff, so that's that black wire coming down. What I'm going for is more this route. Got your house batteries and a chassis battery. So what this will do is this will read my house batteries and the gray wire coming down to the chassis battery for the engine. I'll get a separate reading for that as well. So the fun thing is taking our thing coming up here. So having that Burg on is making so much more room up here. I don't have to lean over or anything. So you can see here, positive coming in, negative around to the positive, and then all my negatives for the whole system of the RV is going out. So that creates the 12 volt system. So that's the same concept of the red wire coming out over here to the positive, all the negatives put on essentially a shunt to the side, and then running up to the smart controller, and then the chassis battery. So the fun thing is where to put it. Radiator's there. This is just a flimsy piece of plastic, protect any rocks and debris going back that way. That's the air intake. That's the AC system. And there is the battery control center. So about the only spot I saw is right here. So I'm thinking of just taking this and putting her right there. So here I was getting ahead of myself, so I removed that wire. I have it just sitting over here on the side. So that actually needs to go to the chassis battery. I need a wire to go up from that battery to there. This one will go from here to all the house battery negatives. Then we should be cooking. Okay, so you can see here now that the negative's connected to the chassis cord and positive is connected there. So the last things to do, connect the red wire all the way over here to this positive, not that one, because I want to have this read as a 12 volt, not a 6 volt. If you connect here and the negative here going up to the shunt, it's going to read that it's a 6 volt, not a 12 volt. So always beginning of the battery to the end of the battery in your system for the 12 volt. So let's set this up and ow, that sucker hurts. Alright, so everything is now connected up. So the last thing to do is take a nice little torque wrench, and it should be 21 newtons. Hear the click, good and tight. I don't know how well you can see it. Right there, see that blue flashing light? Let me take the camera off the post here. She is ready for Bluetooth and is getting power. Open the app here. You can see here it's already showing devices, so we'll select on it, let it start connecting. Pair with your pin. This is just the default pin. Did not like the zeros, so we'll try the 1, 2, 3, 4. So mine was 6 zeros. Update the firmware. You always want to be sure you change your pin. Okay, now that the pairing is done, you want to set this up. So my main batteries, which is the house batteries, these are 230 amp hours. I'll have to look this up. Give me a sec. Okay, looking it up. So I have a Die-Hard Gold 800 cold cranking amps. And that is saying it has a 90 amp hour setup. So we'll call this a starter battery. Oh, and the nice thing is it automatically configures it. You can see here it is pre-set up to the lead acid. For the house batteries, meaning discharge, the lowest I want it to go is 50%. I could change that to say 60, this way I can get a warning beforehand. You can see here my current voltage saying 100%, 12.59. The starter battery is at 1239. In trends, because there's no information yet, so that's not going to really show anything. Yeah, there is that all set up. So let's see what she'll do when she's plugged in. So right now their batteries are, disconnect switch is done, so let's flip that on and flip some lights on, see if we see any change in the battery usage. And look at that. Right off the bat, I got a light going on. Flip on another light. Let's see what change it will make plugged in. And how about that? It's charging. Current draw coming in. And I'm not using the batteries. So awesome. Now it would be nice if I could see the starter battery, that information as well. But let me unplug. We're back to using the battery. Let's see, look at that. Turn the key. See what my alternator's charging at. And look at that. She kicked over and it's now charging the house batteries too, because there's enough charge on the chassis battery. So the last thing I want to do is protect these wires from rock and debris, since this is up behind the front grille. Alright, last thing to do is get that brace put back in and put the grill on. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do here is up through this slot here, and I'm going to put this cable, since that's not really waterproof being unplugged, for the display box and everything, that I'll put it in here so it's in a water safe area. So the last thing here is battery terminal protector, so it's just spraying all the terminals here. So then that way that will protect those from corrosion. And the very last step I need to do, find that clip. I bought a new clip so this support rod for the lid isn't rattling around while driving. It's in the RV somewhere in there. So I'll have to find it or just buy a new one. That's closed up. Like I said, I got to find that clip for the rod. I may just buy another one. It'll probably be easier. Everything's all hooked back up, and I am going to call this good. I am pleased. I no longer have to figure out what the light means, because, you know, just because it says it's full doesn't mean it wasn't. So I am pleased. And the nice thing is with that Victron, I don't need to buy the whole system all at once. I could just do it a part at a time. So probably my next thing I'm going to do with the Victron system is set up a display inside so I can monitor it inside as well, not just off my phone. But until then, I will see you guys in the next one.